Just here for the Beer Radio, TSN 1040, also at 103.5 FM HD2 at JHFTB. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Joe Leary along with Rick Mohabir, and our producer Justin Kwan. And ladies and gentlemen,
the Hi.
Owen Coomer.
How are you?
I'm good, man. We're broadcasting from the Taphouse on North Road in Coquitlam, one of two Taphouse locations in the Lower Mainland. And it's good to see you. We've stayed in touch. We've seen your posts and all of that, but you guys were locked down for a good while at both locations.
Yeah, we were. It was tough. Just come think about with March. We just launched the beer special. I literally had a week after St. Patrick's Day. I had a beef dip and things like a lot of different food ideas and pairings and things like everything was going to be launching because we started to really start taking off. And we had that flight with the Guinness and the $5 for Ireland. We had a lot of booming things. And then we obviously got into that period where we heard a lot of closures, and we were open during St. Patrick's Day, and I can tell you that there was a couple of other bars locally that called me and were saying, what is your time frame? Because we all knew that we were going to have to probably close on the 18th, but there was nothing confirmed. But, we had people that were like, hey, come down, it's going to be, a great day at the Tap House, we've got all these specials and so on, come in with the St. Patrick's Day. And, we also had some social media backlash. People were like, you're supposed to be closed. Well, no, that's Vancouver. We're Coquitlam. We're Surrey. So it was being a difficult transition that all of a sudden it's like we're open one day. We have a lot of plans. I even had, honestly, with Bacardi, I had Tito's Vodka. We were going to do a flight to Austin, where people can actually go to Tito's. And so we had so many things planned. And then, of course, this happens. And where do you go from there? We're closed on the 18th, and we have no information as to when or what life's going to look like, right? So very interesting.
And you and I stayed in touch, and again, you were kind of curious as to when you would sort of get the all clear to be open. But then we're all wondering, well, what's the new open going to look like? Because you've got a ton of space here at the Tap House on North Road, and as you do in Guildford as well.
It's even bigger.
It is bigger. Yeah. But I've been in here a few times, and you've got the designations, you've got the markings, you've got the tables reserved. You're doing everything appropriate. And I'm thinking, and I don't want to jump the gun here, but maybe slowly but surely we're kind of seeing that we're getting back to some degree of how things we can live with.
Yeah, there's some sort of normality, but it comes down to perception. And this is why I was referring to the stuff in the past about kind of false information, because a lot of things are recommended. That the government is saying, we recommend this, but there's no actual guideline for restaurants and bars and stuff like that. Like right now, I always find it funny, like you look at a casino, like they're even bigger than our locations, and why wouldn't they be open? Why wouldn't their restaurants not be allowed to open? Like, they do their regulation because a lot of money can be given back to the communities, as long as there's proper things. But like with here, sorry for interrupting, but it's just been very interesting, like coming out of this world and knowing what that norm is, because it's the perception of what customers are wanting to see. Because there's been some bars that I've walked in personally, and it's like nothing has changed.
Yeah, I agree.
And I have heard that from other customers. I've been told you really shouldn't be having pool tables available, and then somewhere locally has a pool table going. Like it's just, it's been really kind of interesting and frustrating, but it comes down to what do we want to do for the guests? What do we believe that the guests should see? And we've been trying to be very active about making sure that people, when they come here, they feel safe, that we're doing a lot more of what was the recommendation, whether it's thermometers of all of our staff and so on, whether it's masks and gloves on almost every single staff member, whether it's the markings on the ground, whether it's the information with the hand sanitizer. There's so many variables. So it's been an interesting world, that's for sure.
Well, I agree, and the thing is that your point is valid, because I've done my own spot checks, not to rat anybody out. I'm just curious because I like to get out and go to places, but some almost are in full hazmat suits by comparison. I noticed that in some places, that's the unmistakable laugh of Mr. Mark Roberts. But your pinball games and your skee ball is shuttered right now.
Yeah.
I understand that maybe it's a contact point and you can't keep sanitizing it. You don't have the manpower to do that. But I'm starting to think that now, it's going to be a while before you have a DJ in here with a dance floor. I can guarantee you that. Yeah. But that aside, you're starting to introduce. You said that you got a happy hour coming back.
Yep, we had a happy hour started a couple of days ago, and it's been something that people have been really wanting.
Sure.
Brunch is another one. again, what does the time look like as to how we should be open based on, the employees and the hours and things like that? Because you also have to factor in, there's still a lot of people that are also on CERB, and they almost they don't want to work more than, $1,000 or whatever, and I'm trying to figure that out too.
And in a way, on a business side of things, and as a manager, right, you're kind of in a catch-22, right? Like, how much stuff do I order? How much staff do I bring in? Because all of those things cost you money, right?
100%.
And am I going to have the turnover of the stuff, the food services on side, right?
Yeah.
Of everything that I bring in, because that's money that you got to consider as well.
100%. And like a lot of people, they come and they're like, well, what do we want to see on tap? And let's just say that, in Guildford, I'm just referring to Guildford, is that they have 27 beers on tap. Do you think we should have 27 beers on tap when we're only have to be less than 50% capacity with staff on?
Yeah.
You can't really operate professionally a proper beer, and keeping it fresh and tasting, because that was based on 100% capacity, and that's what you were wanting to do.
Yeah.
So it's been challenging. A funny note, just about, two things we were talking about, like that's a source of revenue, my games rooms and stuff like that, and I'd love to get that going, especially in this climate where we're trying to get extra money.
It's a distraction.
There are places that are not following certain rules, and they're the ones that are going to ruin it for everybody else.
Yeah.
That's one issue. But one competitor that I found out yesterday, they're a competitor for most places. They're fairly large. They launched upon the new, we're open now, 50 new food items. Like, who does that on their regular menu? We're going to have a regular menu and add 50 more. How are you going to have that turnover? How are you going to have people buying and based on these sales? Like,
and
it's
even
insane.
on takeout, you can't make up that business.
100%. So all my personal guarantee is, I have a brain. I'm good in this industry. Let me make sure that the guest has a great experience. We have great food, great drinks, a great variety. It's going to be fresh. It's clean. It's going to have exactly what you're looking for, and I'm going to do it right. That's kind of how
your staff,
exactly.
Right?
Well,
and
service is key.
Yeah. He's Owen Coomer, the O-Dog from the Taphouse. We're broadcasting from the Taphouse on North Road in Coquitlam, also Taphouse in Guildford and Surrey. Well, here's the conclusion I've come to is that, as you say, there are recommendations. There were no hard and fast, because I know a business on the North Shore that never closed because they weren't told to.
Yeah.
It was recommended they do, but they weren't told to. And as they said, we've got plenty of space. We can keep people outside. We can distance. We can do all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Why should I not keep my business open? And at the end of the day, Owen, if I walk into a place, if I don't like I don't want to see people in hazmat suits, then I choose not to go there.
Of course.
If you want to keep your staff safe, you want to keep your customers safe. We need to ultimately make that call ourselves.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm so glad that businesses, because we didn't know. I remember you and I talked, I think this was around the end of March.
Yeah.
And there was no end in sight.
No, I said that this could be 6 months to a year. In fact, I think even in June, I mean, think about it. It closed March 17th. This is in June-ish.
Yeah.
That had already closed almost 2.5 months.
Right.
Like it creeped up. It's just almost like everybody was just in complete shock, And then again, what does that look like now that we're open? Everybody talking about the second wave and other things like that too. And we also obviously have a huge place between both locations. Mm-hmm. Where is our nightclubs and all that kind of stuff? And we're trying to figure it out. Like, this past Sunday, we ended up doing like a live acoustic set through our Instagram, with one of our performers, just so that somebody has something, so that if they went home, they could have a bottle of wine, maybe get takeout from us and have something.
Crank that up.
So we're definitely trying to do different things and thinking outside the box. But what's the normality and what things are going to be like going forward? I think right now, personally, this is how life is, and what they're going to do is, I think that most bars are going to slowly open up certain things as people get more comfortable, and I think that's really comes down to is it gets more comfortable. Yes. I think that's where that sense is. But again, even then, 3 months from now, who knows if we get into fall, we have to resurge and so on, right? Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. But like my personal guarantee, just like I said, at least for the Taphouse locations, is safety. About the guests and the staff. And that's to me the most important thing is that perception of you are going to be treated properly here and make sure that we're not interested in getting people sick. So.
Well, it's good to see you. It's good that you're back open. I've experienced this many times in the past couple of weeks, and you're doing it right. You got plenty of room, folks, and the menu's forever getting better and better. Owen Coomer, the O-Dog, always good to see you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Always good to see you guys.
Thanks, Owen.
Yeah, that is a wrap for Just Here for the Beer Radio, TSN 1040.